Hey gang, Eric Whitacre here, and I'm sitting with Jack Rowland. Jack, we're going to talk all about virtual choir and your contribution to it and the history. So I thought maybe we could start by you just telling everybody how it was that you first came to find the virtual choir and be a part of it.
Well, I was working as a journalist at the time and writing a column called The Gadget Guy. And
here in Florida, right?
Yeah, at the St. Petersburg Times at the time then, and I came across Virtual Choir 1 stumbled upon the plugin.
You stumbled, yeah.
One keystroke, boom, Eric Whitacre. Never heard of you before. No offense. And I'm like, wow, who is this guy? Your hair was a lot shorter then, and it was striking to see it and experience it. And as someone who had been in choirs and has been a singer my whole life, I went through this whole range of emotions about what I saw. As far as what it meant to the future of choirs, to have people not actually breathe and stand shoulder to shoulder together and sing. Is this going to be what it's going to be like in the future? I had some mixed emotions about it.
Oh, really? Wait, so you had mixed emotions? You mean thinking that maybe this was not a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, it was beautiful and it sounded awesome, but I just thought, wow, what do we lose when we do music like this, And I was very much surprised to find out when I did do Virtual Choir 2 and wrote about that as well, how much of a connection I made with you when I didn't even have you in the room with me. Just watching you conduct me and kind of looking into your eyes and experiencing something that was just not expected. And then taking that on further to meeting lots of people all over the world who shared in the passion for what we were doing. The premiere for VC2 was in New York, and of course I couldn't make it, but one of the other technical team members, Julie Suen, was there, and some other people, and just the way everyone reached out through that process, and of course how myself and others reached out on the Facebook page then before we had a formal way to support the singers, to help each other and nurture each other and encourage everyone from all over the world to submit their videos. To when you asked some of us to become a formal team,
that's right.
VC3, when we met in New York for that premiere, and on to all the other projects we've done. It's been amazing. I have lifelong friends that I've met, some of whom I've never met and I may never meet, but I feel so close to them because of these projects.
Yeah, it's an amazing phenomenon, isn't it?
It is, really.
I know when I first started the project, to me it was really just, it was as simple as a 5 or 6 year old kid saying, I wonder if you put these two things together, would they work? I really didn't even know if it would work musically. That was kind of my big interest. And then when I first saw that Virtual Choir 1, and I thought, my God, the poetry of it, of all these people isolated on their own little islands around the world, coming together and making something much larger than their individual selves.
Of course.
Yeah, I also was not prepared for that. And then you spoke about this idea that you felt connected, not only to me through the video, but also to the other singers. Can you speak about that a little bit?
It's just weird that even though we don't get to sing together, and some of us we've met with you in New York and sang with the DCINY concerts, and that we do feel connected, and it's surprisingly so very intimate. I don't know how to explain it, using technology. And when you look at a map and you see all those little spots when we make those little charts and everything, and you see all these people all over the world, and some of them will send personal thank yous.
Yeah.
Emails saying, thank you so much for everything you did. There's no way I would have been able to get my video in if you didn't help me. And it's so rewarding to know that you helped somebody in some faraway place with limited technology to become of something that is larger than all of us. This particular project, the Deep Field project, having seen it, what a marriage of that thought, that the universe is way bigger than anything we ever could possibly imagine. And we are tiny, tiny little parts of it, but together there's so much power in what we can do when we contribute our little part. That's why this particular project has just blown me away by the whole, the whole thought of it.
I love that. So. And it's interesting because, starting with 2, you've been able to see the evolution of not only the virtual choirs and where we've tried to take it to get to this deep field place, but also just simply the technology.
Oh, of course.
Right? You remember with 2, it was a bit of the Wild West.
Yeah.
When we were trying to capture audio. And can you speak a little bit about that, how you've seen it evolve and how you've helped people over the years?
Every time we've upped the ante, you know, as far as the number of submissions and what we expect from them, asking people to, if they can afford to, you know, use the very best equipment that they can, microphones and everything. We spend a lot of time making tutorial videos and writing very detailed tutorials to help them, and then we have a support team that's there to help them one by one, if necessary, to make sure that they have a chance to get their video in.
Yeah, well, I mean, so much of that also has to do with you very specifically, just the behind the scenes. I don't know, for the people who are watching, many of the people will actually have connected or contacted you personally.
Yeah.
But a lot of people might not know just how integral you've been in making all of that happen, in keeping the community together, in really taking some people and holding them by the hand, helping them get from no technical expertise whatsoever to finally uploading a video.
And this is the cool thing for me, and you've referenced this too. Somebody is sitting at their kitchen table with a laptop, you know, making their video, and they end up in this fabulous film that they probably would have never had any chance in their life to be in anything like that, all by sitting there and making a simple little video with their laptop or with their phone. This time we did phones this time, so that was really cool.
Even phones, that's right. Yeah. I think of myself first and foremost as a composer, and then I conduct, and then I guess I speak, but first and foremost I'm a composer. And so for me, when I start these projects, I'm always thinking about the end result, the piece. And composing, I've found, is a lot like painting, in that you know, you might lay down a background color, right? And then maybe a little bit of white here and a little bit of yellow here, and the painting doesn't really make any sense while you're first building those foundations, and then slowly, layer upon layer, you start to realize, oh, the reason this color is back there initially is that it starts to reveal this shadow or light that is essential to the whole thing. And I only say this because the experience for the singers, which I've only really come to realize, is totally different than my experience.
Of course.
Right, I have this complete vision in my mind, or at the very least, a complete intention. But I think for the individual singer, it's sometimes it's even a little baffling, right? Like, what are we doing exactly this time?
When we were doing this piece, as compared to singing Sleep or Water Night or even Flight of Paradise, the music itself was a lot less challenging to sing. And you're listening to it, and you have those very cool descriptions about this progression symbolizes the astronauts, you know, whatever. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were talking about the challenges the astronauts face to get the telescope deployed and everything and working. And I'm thinking, you know, I mean, at the time, I'm just not hearing that, you know? I mean, honestly.
Oh, you mean just from those few notes?
Right, but now when you hear it in the scope of the whole piece, now you hear it. And so that's what's different about the way you think, is that you're hearing it in your head, and we're not, you know? So we have to trust you, and we do. But it was just like, okay, I'm gonna look forward to this one, you know? It's like, you know, that's kind of how it felt.
But you know what's cool about it? You talk about that intimacy, right? That strange intimacy that happens over the video and from a distance. And I think that's the heart of that intimacy, is trust.
Yes.
Right? That somehow people are willing to sit in front of a computer and, well, I have no idea what this is going to be, but okay, I'll jump in, trusting that this eventually is going to be something.
It's easier though when you have a piece like Sleep, which is a published, you know, piece of music that some people had already sung with their local choir or whatever like that, and you know what it's going to sound like generally, and all you're really waiting for is the visual, right? This was completely different. Not only did we get this way super visual, but then you get to hear the finished piece. And I was at the premiere in Minneapolis, and I heard the first rendition.
The original, that's right.
Yeah,
of the
and then to hear this with the voices added, and it's just like completely different, and like just wow, like a wow moment. And, you know, well, that's why I'm here. You know, because you keep wowing me, I guess.
Well, no, but, you know, it's funny because I think like, personally, I just can't ever do a thing again. You know, like you,
oh, of course.
You'd think
that's the
that,
point.
right? That's that's the way I think too. But it's interesting. Some of the singers will write and say, "Can't we just do, you know, like the Seal Lullaby? Can't we just do a normal piece that we love and have some beautiful visuals?" And for me, it's always about, okay, but we've done that. We climbed that mountain.
Yeah.
Right? What's the next mountain?
That's because the first mountain is the mountain that you conquer that mountain, and you go, hey, wow, we did that. So now you got to go to the taller one. That's what mountain climbers would do. And the first one was what I call the classic Brady Bunch the Brady Bunch virtual choir. You know, it's like the cube.
Squares and
yeah. I mean, it had some dimension, and it was nicely done.
We should do a Brady Bunch virtual choir.
Can I be Alice? So you evolve to. Sleep was that cool celestial looking kind of thing, and then Water Night, was the wall of water,
wall of water.
And then Flight of Paradise was the first time we had animation of any type.
That's right.
And this is a completely different level. And what I loved about the visuals, and I sent an email, I think you saw it. It made me feel as if I was in a spacesuit floating through, and I don't know how they made the flat images three-dimensional like that.
Yeah.
But it really feels like you're floating through space, and the haunting music is like, what would it feel like if you were in a spacesuit and you're just like looking out into the heavens, hopefully tethered to a space station or something like that. Yeah. That's what it feels like, and it's just really, I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen because
it's on the IMAX. It's unbelievable. That's the beautiful thing too now is that the film will become. It can be performed live with orchestras or wind bands, right? Okay. You'll be able to project and even have the virtual choir join those live performances. But then there's plans for it to be projected at the Smithsonian, at planetariums and theaters all around the world.
There's performance coming up in Charlotte too.
Exactly, Charlotte Symphony will do it. I'll do it in Brussels with the Brussels Phil in February.
Okay.
So there will be live performance, but also just a projection. But it's going to have this life that will go well beyond just YouTube, where everybody can also see it. That's really thrilling for me. It's interesting because you also spoke about the, beyond the trust, like that this sense of floating in space, and you feel, you realize how small but essential we are in the midst of all of this.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking as a composer, it's a similar journey for me in that I usually start each piece with just that much of an intention, that I know I want to create the feeling of exactly what you described. It kind of gave me chills when you were saying it back to me, because I remember that very feeling before I wrote a note of music. That's what I wanted to achieve. But then there's this crazy dance that happens with the music, and I write a little bit and then the music suggests, no, actually it should be this, should be this, should be this. And as the piece is evolving when it's being written, it's never the way I initially imagined it. I kind of had a sort of image in my mind, but then the final piece looks way different than I imagined it would. Mm-hmm. But the intention somehow is still buried into the DNA of the piece. Somehow that initial idea makes it through in the weirdest way. And so it's amazing that even after that, and then adding the virtual choir and making it into a film, that you say those words back, and it's like, yeah, that's where we started. It's in there.
And have you known other composers though to tweak compositions after their premiere?
Yeah, I think that...
Is that done? Because you do it quite a bit, and I think it's cool. I mean, I think it's like, yeah, I thought this was the way it was going to sound, but it's not quite right, so I'm gonna make it a little bit better. We did that with Home
yes,
in New York.
Yeah, which I still changed after even New York.
Yeah, so I think that's great. I mean, you can't possibly, as much as you can hear it way more than any of us can hear it in your head, you still don't really hear it till you hear it.
Yeah, that's it. And then you've got to kind of adjust and adjust. There seems to be two kinds of composers. There seems to be the composer who can just lay down their pencil and say, yep, that's what it is. That's what I meant. And then there's the rest of us who just agonize and try and fix and fix and fix until... I heard Picasso once said that a great work of art is never finished. It's merely abandoned by the side of the road. That's how I feel usually. It's like I'll just obsess and obsess and obsess until it's right, and then finally, and that's what it is. But it is truly extraordinary. And just this morning we saw for the first time in the IMAX theater the full film, and my God, it's when the voices come in, that moment when you see them, the faces first appear, it just sends chills up and down the body.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, when you look at that and you see it all stretched across, like that the virtual choir represents something where there's never anyone talking about politics. There's never anybody talking about religion. Everybody music is this universal language that just makes this bond. People from countries that are completely opposed in their political thinking, that never comes up. They just sing. It's
Yeah,
just
isn't that
it's
beautiful?
just about the music, and that's like euphoria, you know, like a place that we all want to be in.
Yeah, this beautiful utopian
Yeah.
place where, ultimately, I think it has to do something about singing, specifically singing, not just music making, but singing seems to get to the essential humanity in all of us, right? It's
You're a living instrument.
that's it, and every voice is different.
And even the people that say I can't sing, that's not true.
That's not true.
Everyone can sing. Some can sing better than others, you know, but everyone has a voice, and we have worked tirelessly to make sure that we give everyone a chance to have their voice in these projects, and that's another part of it that's so wonderful.
We've had now hearing impaired people, we've had people with autism, with other kinds of disabilities. We've had several deaf singers who have signed their videos,
Right.
Visually impaired. Now I think over the projects, I think the youngest singers we've had as 2.5 maybe, or 3 in the virtual youth choir, and then now to over 100, I believe.
Yeah, I was thinking it was in the 90s, but maybe it is over 100.
Yeah, I think we had somebody over 100.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And and we've had now I think 123 countries represented across the different virtual choirs. So it really is about inclusion, and it should be said too for people who don't know this. If you upload a video, you get in.
Yep, and
It's not an audition.
we always do try for the people that really, really want to be in and tried their best. We always try to include them, and that's a wonderful part of this too. So.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I think it also speaks to what you were talking about, this kind of utopian nature of the thing, which is that each person's voice is essential and important and honored. Like they come together to make this thing, and everybody's in. I often use the analogy that because people will ask, well, then how is it that all those voices sound so good? You know, some people, like you said, some people have better voices than others. And there's something specific, again, and unique to the voice where when you mass voices, somehow it smooths out the rough edges. The analogy I always use is that if you're at a football game and you have 60,000 people singing, some of those voices aren't so great. Some of them may have had too many beers.
Sure.
And somehow, though, just the wall of sound, it actually makes it better in a way. It gives this beautiful depth and richness, even with those rougher voices. So somehow the virtual choir works. I'm often asked too why I don't do a virtual band or a virtual orchestra. And so far my comment has always been that oboes don't scale the way voices do. You know?
There's also an issue with latency, I think, that would be difficult with the recording.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. The cool thought is that there's somebody in India with a laptop, and they see or hear about the virtual choir, and they make their one little video and they send it along, and it's going to be the only time in their lifetime that they're going to be in a featured film with 8,000 other people and a Grammy Award-winning composer, and all of that, and then at the Space Center on an IMAX screen. I mean, it's like Willy Wonka and getting the golden ticket. It's like you just can't happen any other way, and it gives them that opportunity, and it gives that opportunity to everyone who can just get us a video, and that's just so cool.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool. Jack, thank you so much for everything you've done.
Oh, absolutely.
It's great to talk with you, man.
You too.